So, for anybody that hasn't seen it before, this is Metal Gear Rising. Revengeance. Odd name, but there you go. It's a hack and slash by Platinum Games and a spin-off to Konami's Metal Gear Solid franchise. It's not made by the usual Metal Gear Solid devs, obviously, which is Kojima Productions. Now, I'm going to take a quick look at the progression systems. I say a quick look because there's not all that much to it. And I actually don't think that highly of it. I actually think it takes away quite a lot from the game, sadly. So I'm going to have to assume you understand the gameplay and how the game plays out. If you don't, dead simple terms, it is basically hack and slash, run around, chop things up, and all the missions are structured episodically. Mission 1, Mission 2, Mission 3. Now, the progression system as a whole, you are awarded XP, basically a currency, this BP figure we can see in the top left under all the red bar lark. So I've got 22,583 at the moment, 22k. And basically you're awarded this as you find stuff through the mission. I mean, that is one thing I do like. You're awarded it for your combat performance, which I'll show you now. Basically, the better you perform in combat, the higher your combos, and the quicker your time, the more you're awarded. So I'm just... ouch. I've really got to stop switching between beat 'em up so I can actually remember the controls. So they're dead, and now it'll end the mission, or it'll end that encounter and give me some XP after a cutscene. There we go. So this I do like. You're awarded based on time. That makes sense. And it's gone. That was tough. So basically you're awarded based on time, your maximum combo, any BP gained, HR. You can basically find currency during the fight by cutting off people's limbs and stuff. You get bonus points if you cut off their left hand because they store data in there. I mean, this all makes sense. It puts a nice emphasis on cutting off the left hand, which is quite a nice skill-based factor. Although I don't like that the skill-based it awards for cutting off specific body parts does contradict with the bonuses it gives you for getting high combos. High combos encourage you to spam buttons in blade mode, but precision is also encouraged and almost anti-spam, so you don't destroy the limbs, you just cut them off. So there's a bit of conflict there that I don't necessarily like. What I do like is you can find BP and bonus items and currency in cases like that, just like these little boxes. It makes, I guess, it's quite a nice way. So there's one there, I got a small chip. It's quite a nice way of actually rewarding different playstyles. And this is the next bit, the bit that I found quite interesting. If you manage to kill an opponent without damaging any body parts, primarily this is going to happen in stealth, the reward is actually pretty big. So stealth is fairly well... Stealth is fairly well rewarded because it gives you quite a big amount of currency for actually picking up that chip, although you don't contribute to your combo meters and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, which I'm not really a fan of. Now, my first biggest, that doesn't make any sense. My first issue with the progression system is its implementation. Let me progress and show you what I mean. So if I'm over here and I've done some stuff, I've been over, I've killed this guy, I've cut him in half because I'm a good guy like that. And then I decide I want to level up and spend some of these points. I level up, I go to this customize menu, and it takes me to another screen. But let's make a point of something first. Here is my character. I have light attacks and heavy attacks, which are basically kicks. And this is how the game starts out. As you progress, things change. And it feels quite nice when the game starts out. There's an okay variety of moves and things like that. But let's take a look at the actual progression system itself. Now, first issue was it's not well explained in the game. unless I missed it completely, there are things that are not mentioned and assumed the player will find, which are critical to game progression. This menu here lets you unlock different body types. These body types, some of them have different effects, though the ones that do not have the effects are the more expensive ones, and that's a little odd. And they're also not crystal clear about what they do. It says gives extra med packs, but how many? Says it heals you, but I don't know if it does. Things like that. You can't tell if they're cosmetic or functional. I'm going to assume they're cosmetic, but it's just not well explained. This system is the weirdest system in the damn game, so actually I'm going to come back to that in a second. It has pretty standard progression where you upgrade your life gauge using these points, and it's okay. I'm typically not a fan because it means that if you want to jump straight to a high difficulty without playing the easier ones first, because you just want the challenge and you don't want to play through the story 100 times, you actually find yourself under-geared, under-leveled and under-progressed for that difficulty compared to other players who've maybe gone easy, medium, hard. For example, on this account, because I originally played it for the PlayStation 3, I jumped straight into hard mode to just try and have a playthrough of the game last night. And when I got to the final boss, I had about 140 health. And I was watching videos on YouTube, and there was people in there that had 200 health. I was doing less damage because I had nothing upgraded, I presume, on some of the boss fights. Just things like this, which doesn't, I guess, it doesn't make the game feel great. And it's very noticeable on the trash as well during some of the mobs, because the main weapons themselves, and this is the bit that's poorly explained, there are weapons, but this is not affordable for a few playthroughs. And this is the weapon. There is an enhancement button. It's huge. How could you miss it? But I know people that have. And it's finally working now. That is interesting. Throughout the whole game, where it says attack power 5, uptake rate 4, stuff like that, energy use 3, that has not been showing up for me through the entire game, and I'm curious as to what has made it trigger now, whether or not it was the completion of the game or something else. But this is a system I don't like. Basically, your sword is upgraded throughout the game, meaning you have to invest points or your damage becomes very, very lackluster. Now, it's very easy not to notice this menu, and there are enemies, just weak trash enemies, in the later stages of the game, missions 7, 8, 9, which will take 100 hits to kill, even with a reasonable degree of upgrade. So that's a bit odd. Not a fan, because it means you've got to play easier difficulties first to get ready for hard. And it's almost trying to give the game replayability where you wouldn't necessarily want it. It also kind of forces you to go into that tree and spend points in that location. Otherwise, you're just going to have a really hard time of the game. Fuel cells are very much like the life gauge. You upgrade the power for your power-up mode, Super Saiyan mode, essentially. The new skills system is okay. I liked it when I've seen it in other games, allowing players to gradually buy skills as they progress. Interestingly, you can equip and unequip them afterwards. Some of these are fundamental to the game. Like the dodge is fundamental. The result aerial parry is very important. Things like this. There are skills which are, pretty critical, which you're not forced to get. So I would maybe have included them in the basic skill set, like the aerial parry and the defensive offense, which is this dodge I'll show in a minute. But this is okay. I mean, it means you can add skills gradually and you could focus on learning skills and things like that. My issue is that during a playthrough you don't earn enough points to buy all the skills. You definitely don't earn enough points to buy all the weapon upgrades or all the life or all the fuel cell upgrades. So jumping onto hard, the final boss, can be very difficult if you don't have a substantial amount of medkits and stuff. My biggest issue with the progression system is the next two things. This unique weapon system. You have weapons that are unlocked throughout the game. As you defeat bosses, you get cool weapons which you can buy. And basically, if I buy this weapon, for example, the Sai, it can be enhanced just like the other one, though not straight away. I had to find that enhancement to unlock it. If I then go back to the game, now remember I had just stealth killed a guy over on the bridge. If I exit the customization screen with my Sai now equipped, we'll see the issue. And it's light enough to see my face again. It's actually put me back to the last checkpoint. Now, I hate having to load into a menu to progress my character. Either don't let me do it in game, or make it fluid almost. Do it at set points in the game, because it can break the game's flow by sending you back and stuff, and I am not a fan. Either write sections into the game where you can develop your character without the story being affected, or at least make the menus a bit more user friendly, because I don't like this getting set back. But the biggest issue with the progression system is the fact that you typically do not progress in an enjoyable way. I don't think it makes the game more enjoyable, and I don't think it rewards all play styles, which are two things which are really quite important to me. Now I'll explain why it doesn't make the game more enjoyable. Before I showed that I had light and heavy attacks. There's my light, and I had kicks. Now those kicks can't be executed because my triangle key, my Y key, has been replaced by this weapon. Now let's have a look at how many moves this weapon actually has. You ready? Sai, 2. 2 abilities. So I've just lost 10 or 15 power attack combos to gain 2 abilities with this thing. That's not a good thing. It does not make the game more diverse, more enjoyable, more exciting. It takes away things that the players invested time in learning, and makes the combat less dynamic and fun and situational. And this is a shame, because the game does suffer from a lack of combos, a lack of moves with a very specific purpose anyway, and the progression system just makes it worse. I mean, if it was me, I'd probably have just gotten rid of the whole damn thing. I understand why it's there. It's to encourage a bit of replayability, to get you to go back through on different difficulties, to strive for S rank through the missions and things like that. But in reality, a cosmetic system would have done almost that. I don't like the power scaling, the fact that I have to buy damage upgrades throughout the game. I'd have sooner seen that scale based on difficulty level or something, because it means you do have to play difficulty levels you don't want to play before you're ready for the harder ones, unless you're a very, very good player. I definitely don't like this weapon system. The idea of losing all my heavy attacks to equip a secondary weapon is just absurd, especially since there are keys free in this game. The B key is contextual and almost never used, which I talked about at length in the combat video, and it's a damn shame, because now my power attacks and stuff have been almost turned into this weird 2-button combo, and this is all I get with my triangle key now. It's just odd, and it's a shame, because it actually makes the game less fun than it could have been. I mean, there are ways to execute some power attacks still, but it's just not as enjoyable as it could have been. I mean, it's a good game. It's fairly fun. It's worth a playthrough if you can pick it up in a Steam sale or something. It is quite fun. But the progression systems, they're definitely not aimed at people that want to play through the game on a hard, challenging difficulty straight away. And they definitely don't make combat more diverse and enjoyable. They just get you to a point of the game where you realise maybe I'm not actually strong enough to do this boss or complete this thing. because I haven't played it through on a hard enough difficulty. So that is Rise and Revengeance. Personally, I'd strip away the progression systems, or definitely take away the power, the strength scaling, and possibly the health scaling as well. And it would have been beautiful if, instead of all these crazy points that you put into upgrading your weapons, actually went into buying more contextual combos, more combos which had a place, more launches, more trip ups, more CCs, more, what if you could carry multiple weapons that he does anyway, but you could buy combos that combined this special weapon and the dagger on his back. This would make the game more fun, more enjoyable, more diverse, and I just think it's a shame because they had the base of a really great combat system, and through the progression system it's been let down a little. They're my thoughts. Let me know if you disagree or agree. Happy gaming.